Hello, welcome back to Mountain Gym Card Collectibles. Hope your week is going awesome. So today I woke up to some heavy, hardcore gaslighting. Yeah, a little bit of time. I got to watch some content on YouTube, sports card content, and all I got to hear is how great Nat Turner and PSA, and they're combining with good old boy Geoff Wilson over in Cards HQ to give us, guess what? The best repacks on the market. At least that's what the gaslighting says. But honestly, when I look into repacks, I've bought repacks. I'm just going to put out my opinion. And I normally don't cuss on this show, but I'm going to let this one go. Repacks to me are a total shit show. And if you like shit shows, hey, I can't change your mind. But really, what I see repacks is as a red flag of an industry that has failed to give a proper approach to the consumer. And you can have these guys on YouTube, the big gurus, gaslight you from morning to night about how great, this new partnership with PSA and Geoff Wilson is going to be for the hobby. But I'm not buying any of it. Not 1 cent. So start us off, there's some terms that go along with basically transforming broken, used, or seemingly worthless items into more valued items. And really, they should have repacks on this little chart. I mean, Gemini AI Overview forgot sports card repacks, or just repacks in general, mystery boxes. But anyway, I'll get into some of these terms, and maybe you can relate to some of this. Kintsugi. Well, this is a traditional Japanese art form that involves repairing broken pottery with lacquer and powdered gold, silver, or platinum. Instead of trying to hide the damage, the repair is highlighted, making the object even more beautiful and valuable than before it was broken. Kintsugi is often viewed as a metaphor for embracing the imperfections and finding beauty and strength in adversity. Yeah. So if you like repacks, get familiar with that word, kintsugi. Upcycling. This process transforms discarded items into new materials or products of higher quality or value, and involves giving a second life and new function to something no longer in use, often making the finished product more practical, valuable, or beautiful. Upcycling can involve various forms of transformation, including breaking down, reforming, and reassembling materials. Junk art. This art movement, which emerged in the mid-20th century, involved artists repurposing discarded materials and waste into works of art. This approach challenged traditional ideas of beauty and value, celebrating imperfection and transforming trash into treasure. And I really think that's probably about the closest thing we have to, repacks. Transforming trash into treasure. Got to make some money. We got to keep making money. We're repackers. All we do is we rip open a bunch of bad boxes. We got to resell the bad boxes. I mean, we can't just lose all of our money. All right, assemblage art. While often associated with junk art, assemblage is a broader term encompassing art forms where artists use pre-existing or found objects in their creations. According to Wikipedia, the Watchtower in Los Angeles, constructed from salvaged materials like scrap metal, pottery, and broken glass, exemplify assemblage art on a grand scale. And really, repacks kind of are assemblage art in a way, because we're just salvaging materials, people typically don't want, we're repackers. We have our people go into sports card shows and buy a bunch of, slabs that, the people who went to the card show aren't interested in or can't afford, It's kind of like assemblage art. And then wabi-sabi. This Japanese aesthetic embraces imperfection, impermanence, and the beauty found in natural processes of aging and deterioration. Kintsugi aligns with wabi-sabi principles by valuing the history and unique character of a broken and repaired object rather than striving for a flawless appearance. You know, so there's a lot of terms that go along with, basically glorifying, used items, reselling used items. But the gaslighting that goes with sports card repacks, just from the hobby gurus, I think it's quite disgusting, So here we have this article. It's from Clicked. And it's talking about this program will launch July 30th in partnership with Atlanta's Cards HQ, which, if anyone knows my channel, you know how I feel about Geoff Wilson, But anyway, this was written by Ben Burrows on July 3rd, 2025, so it just came out today. Grading giant PSA expand on one of the fastest growing businesses in the hobby Wednesday with the launch of new repack certification program. Now, right there, that is the biggest red flag I see. Grading giant PSA. They're supposed to be into grading. They're supposed to be objective. They're supposed to be giving people a fair shake. No, can we get a new repack company? Not a new repack company. Can we get a new grading company? We have enough repack companies. Can we get a grading company that's not so focused on selfishness, materialism, and greed, that they actually look at the cards and do what they're supposed to and gives us an objective grade? Nat Turner with PSA, he doesn't seem like a grader. He just seems like another card company. PSA going to start printing cards here? You know what I mean? Baseball cards, football cards, you name it. I wouldn't be surprised, and we know all the chicanery that would go with that. Anyway, through the program, PSA will serve as an outsourced partner to physical repackers by providing logistics, certification, and authentication. So, once again, it just feels like a shit show. It really does. According to Nathan Wolf, PSA's president of marketplaces, the company will authenticate every card included in the checklist, validate the checklist, and randomly place cards in the repacks. PSA will also help repackers source cards for the product through its partnership with eBay, the PSA Vault, and the PSA Offers program. So it doesn't feel like something that a grading company should be involved in. It doesn't. Repacks will be assembled in-house by PSA with custom packaging, heat wrapping, and other security features. The product can then be shipped to the repacker for distribution, or PSA can facilitate drop shipping to customers. Now, this is funny, and I'm just going to highlight this. Trust in the hobby is everything, Wolf told Clicked in a statement. Isn't that funny? Because really, for a grading company, I don't trust PSA at all anymore. They have their hands in everyone's pockets, besides screwing over poor guys like me that, we don't have enough names or a big enough name to get good grades, It's like, why bother even grading? PSA has helped to facilitate the massive growth of the hobby over the last 5 years by creating a standardized, reliable, and consistent understanding of authenticity and quality through grading. What a load of BS. As repacks continue to gain momentum, the same needs to exist for repacks. I just don't agree. If anything, I like to see repacks go away so we can have a cleaner hobby rather than having, just a bunch of glorified junk dealers. Because that's the way it feels like. That's what repacks feel like to me, is they're just glorified junk dealers. The first repack product from the program launches July 30th in partnership with Atlanta area card shops. Card HQ and its founder, Geoff Wilson. Everybody loves, because he's just some guy who married some gal with a lot of money, Titled Graded Grails, The initial repack launches with 1 series for football, 1 series for basketball, and 2 series for baseball. Each series debuts with 432 boxes, each containing 1 PSA grade card for $299. I'll tell you what, I'll take my $299 and just go to eBay or my local card shop or where else, and I'll have a lot more fun. According to Cards HQ, Grail chases are valued around $800 or more, with floor cards valued around $140 at the time of acquisition. Each card will be displayed on the Grails website. And then let's see. Yeah, it's funny because right here, repacks, unfortunately, can be a shitty part of the industry, Warden told Clicked. Yeah, gee, and here you are diving right in and making PSA look like a bunch of scumbags in the process. It's a major conflict of interest right there. It's a major conflict of interest for PSA to be involved in this. For breakers to pack their own repacks and know what cards are in what box. This has to be cleaned up and made better to make the hobby more fair for everyone. No, we just would like the shit show to go away. To be honest, Jeff, I like Geoff Wilson to just go away. But, you know, that's the way the U.S. operates. We always got to bend the knee to the millionaires. You know how it is. So, I'm not going to go too much further in that article. Either way, this whole thing to me just gives PSA a black eye. You know, it just proves that they're not objective. It proves they're subjective. It proves that you have to be part of their little, like, cult following to get, I guess, good grades. And to know that they go into business with millionaires over treating, you know, people like me, you know, basically lower middle class people sending stuff to get graded. And they just typically treat people like us like a joke. But I don't feel like PSA is even a grading company anymore. I feel like they're morphing in, you know, to like just a straight up card company. And it's like, can we get an objective grading company? Please. And then we have all of these scumbags, you know, that are involved in repacks. I mean, I can just go to like my local card shows and you have, you know, just people doing repacks, their own repacks, you know. I'd never buy those either. I don't need to gamble. You know, I really don't. I gamble with my business. I don't need to set up, you know, a repack business to take advantage of other people. And there's just getting to be so many. It's just desperation, you know. We have like Enigma Repack Company, Repacked Wax, Hit Parade, you know. I mean, Hit Parade, there's just so much Hit Parade stuff out. I just want to vomit. eBay's got endless cards. Arena Club, you know. Sports card radio really just slammed, you know, these people always, you know, giving the nod to PSA. Because let's face it, what they said is 100% correct. That's what PSA does to people. You know, it's just screw them over right and left. And to pretend that PSA, you know, the shady company from Texas, is really going to come into this hobby of, you know, the repack side and clean it up. Give me a break. They're just as big as scumbags as the rest of them. So if you want to buy into the gaslighting shit show that I was forced to huff this morning, you know, you can buy into it. But to me, it just proves that this hobby keeps going down the toilet further and further and further every day. Anyway, if you have any different opinions, leave some comments. I'd like to thank my subscribers. You are the reason I keep doing these shows. I'd like to thank my recent subscribers. Thanks for joining the team and really helping me out. And if you're a viewer and if you haven't subscribed, thanks for viewing. All you have to do is click the subscribe button. It's 100% free. I can continue to improve the channel and get better. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I'm out of here. Bye.